Have you ever discovered that your own family threw a massive party in the house you paid to build, but somehow forgot to invite you? They forgot your name on the invitation, forgot your place at the dinner table, and smiled as if you had never existed. This wasn't just a party. This was how I discovered that my entire life had been erased from the family story. My name is Margaret Ellis, and I'm 38 years old. I live in the suburbs near Fairview Hollow, where I run a small interior design company called Hollow and Hearth Studio. Most people think I have it all figured out: successful business, beautiful lake house, financial independence. What they don't see is the hollow ache that comes from being the forgotten daughter, the one who gives everything and receives nothing but silence in return. The last time I saw my mother truly happy was during the summer of 1990. I was 11, and we had rented a wooden cabin by Silver Pines Lake. Mom wore a yellow sundress with tiny white flowers, and she laughed until her sides hurt while Dad tried to start the old motorboat. My younger brother Caleb, then 8, was catching fireflies in mason jars while I helped Mom prepare sandwiches for our evening picnic. That moment, her genuine laughter echoing across the water, became the blueprint for everything I would spend my adult life trying to recreate. Even as a child, I was the one who made sure everything ran smoothly. While Caleb played and charmed everyone with his easy smile, I was the one who remembered to pack the sunscreen, who counted the life jackets, who made sure we had enough snacks for the trip home. I was the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who would grow up to be the family's silent benefactor. By the time I turned 30, I had built my design business from nothing. I specialized in creating warm, inviting spaces that felt like home, the kind of home I had always dreamed of having. When I finally had enough money saved, I bought a plot of land on Silver Pines Lake, the same lake where we had spent that perfect summer. I designed and built a cabin that was everything our rental had been and more: rustic wooden beams, a stone fireplace, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the water, and a wraparound porch where you could sit and watch the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold. Every detail was chosen with my mother in mind. The kitchen had the same farmhouse sink she had admired in magazines. The master bedroom faced east so she could watch the sunrise over the lake. I even found vintage mason jars like the ones Caleb had used to catch fireflies, and I filled them with wildflowers from the surrounding meadow. I thought that if I built it, she would come. I thought that if I recreated that perfect summer, we could go back to being the family we were before life got complicated, before I became the one who solved everyone's problems and Caleb became the one who created them. But life rarely works the way we plan. My parents, Joan and Robert Ellis, still lived in the same ranch house where Caleb and I had grown up. Dad was retired from the Postal Service, and Mom worked part-time at the local library. They weren't struggling, but they weren't comfortable either. I had been quietly supplementing their income for years, a few $100s here and there, always with some excuse about a bonus I didn't need or a client who had overpaid. Caleb was a different story. At 35, he had been married and divorced twice, had worked a dozen different jobs, and had a talent for finding himself in financial trouble. He was charming and funny, the kind of person who could talk his way out of anything and make you laugh while he did it. He was also the kind of person who borrowed money and forgot to pay it back, who made promises he couldn't keep, and who somehow always managed to make his problems everyone else's responsibility. 3 years ago, when he lost his job at the auto parts store, I'd quietly paid his rent for 4 months until he found work again. 2 years ago, when his ex-wife took him to court for back child support, I'd loaned him the money to avoid jail time. Last year, when his car broke down and he couldn't afford the repairs, I'd bought him a used Honda and told him it was an early birthday present. None of this was ever acknowledged. It was as if the money appeared by magic, as if problems simply solved themselves. I had become the family's invisible fairy godmother, waving my checkbook like a magic wand to make difficulties disappear. Every few months, I would invite my parents to the lake house for a weekend. I would stock the refrigerator with Mom's favorite foods, buy the wine Dad liked, and plan activities I thought they would enjoy. But they always had excuses. Dad's back was acting up. Mom had commitments at the library. They would come when things settled down, when the weather was better, When they had more time, I began to suspect that they were embarrassed by the house, that it was too nice, too expensive, too much of a reminder of the distance between my success and their modest circumstances. So I stopped pushing. I would mention it casually, leave the invitation open, and try not to feel hurt when they politely declined. The lake house became my sanctuary, the place where I went to escape the loneliness of being needed but not wanted, valued but not loved. I would spend weekends there alone, sitting on the porch with a glass of wine, watching the water and remembering that summer when we were happy. It was a Sunday morning in late September when everything changed. I was at my kitchen table, working on design plans for a client's living room renovation, when my phone buzzed with a notification from Instagram. Caleb had posted a new photo with the caption, "Surprise birthday party for the most amazing mom in the world, at the most beautiful house ever." My heart stopped. The photo showed my mother sitting at my handcrafted dining table, wearing a lavender dress I'd never seen before, smiling at a cake covered in pink roses. Behind her, I could see the stone fireplace I had designed, the windows I had chosen, the wooden beams I had personally selected. The table was set with my good china, the china I had bought specifically for family gatherings that never happened. I scrolled through the album with shaking hands. There were dozens of photos, mom opening presents, Caleb's children playing in the living room, relatives I hadn't seen in years raising glasses of champagne on my porch. There was Uncle Mark from Dad's side, Aunt Susan and her husband, Caleb's ex-wife Jennifer with their 2 kids, and at least a dozen other people I recognized from family gatherings long past. The party looked perfect. Mom looked genuinely happy. The kind of happy I'd seen that summer by the lake 30 years ago. The house was filled with laughter and love and all the warmth I'd dreamed of when I designed it. And I wasn't there. I wasn't in a single photo. There wasn't even an empty chair where I should have been sitting. It was as if I had never existed, as if the house had built itself, as if the family had simply materialized there without any connection to me. I called Caleb immediately. The phone rang 4 times before going to voicemail. I called again. Same result. I sent a text message. "I saw the photos. We need to talk." 20 minutes later, he replied, "You're always so busy, sis. I figured you wouldn't want to deal with a big family thing. Besides, Mom was happy. Isn't that what matters?" I stared at the message, reading it over and over, trying to understand how my own brother could justify throwing a party at my house without inviting me. How he could use my home, my furniture, my carefully curated space, and then act as if my absence was a thoughtful consideration rather than a devastating betrayal. I called my mother next, my hands still shaking. "Oh, honey," she said when she answered, her voice unusually tentative. "I was wondering when you'd call." "Mom, I saw the photos. What happened?" There was a long pause. Caleb organized everything. He said it would be a surprise for my birthday. He told me not to worry about anything, that he would take care of all the arrangements. "But Mom, it was at my house." "My house. How could you have a party there without me?" Another pause. "I asked him about inviting you, sweetheart. He said you were busy with work, that you don't really like big family gatherings. He said you prefer to keep things small and quiet." I felt the world tilt beneath me. "And you believed him?" I don't know. You're always so busy. Margaret, you have your own life, your business. I thought maybe you wouldn't want to be bothered with all the noise and chaos. It's my house. Mom. The house I built thinking about you, hoping you would come and enjoy it. And when you finally do come, I'm not even invited." I could hear her crying softly on the other end of the line. "I'm sorry, honey, I really am. I didn't think. I should have insisted that Caleb invite you. I should have called you myself." But the damage was done. The party had happened without me, in the space I had created with love and hope and the desperate wish to bring my family together. They had celebrated in my absence, had been happy without me, had proven that I was unnecessary to their joy. That night, I drove to the lake house to see the aftermath. I had given Caleb the access code months ago, back when I still believed in the possibility of spontaneous family visits. I had never imagined he would use it to exclude me from my own home. The house looked beautiful in the evening light, just as I had designed it to. But something felt wrong the moment I stepped inside. The air smelled of wine and perfume and too many people. The carefully arranged throw pillows on the couch were scattered and stained. The hardwood floors bore scuff marks from high heels and dress shoes. My hand-woven rug from the artisan market in Santa Fe was splattered with red wine. I walked through each room, cataloging the damage. The kitchen sink was filled with dishes that hadn't been properly rinsed. The garbage disposal had been used incorrectly and was now clogged with food scraps. Someone had burned a candle too close to the curtains in the living room, leaving a brown scorch mark on the fabric. The bathroom towels were stained with lipstick and foundation. In the master bedroom, I found evidence that someone had taken a nap on my bed without removing their shoes. The white comforter was dirty, and there were crumbs on the nightstand from someone eating cake in bed. I sat on the porch steps as the sun set over the lake, looking at the house I had built with such hope and love. It had been violated, used, and discarded, just like I had. My family had taken what they wanted from me and left me with the mess to clean up. But as I sat there in the growing darkness, I realized something important. I was done being the invisible fairy godmother. I was done solving problems I hadn't created, done paying for the privilege of being ignored. If my family wanted to treat me like a service provider rather than a daughter and sister, then I would start acting like one. I spent the next day documenting everything. I took photos of every stain, every scuff mark, every piece of damage. I researched cleaning services and repair costs. I saved receipts and created a detailed spreadsheet of expenses. Then I sent a group text to my parents and Caleb. Family dinner at Caleb's house this Saturday at 6 p.m. I'll bring the food. The response was immediate. Dad texted back, "Sounds nice, sweetheart." Mom added, "Looking forward to it." Caleb sent a thumbs up emoji. I spent the week preparing. I made Mom's favorite pot roast, the recipe she had taught me when I was 15. I baked Dad's favorite chocolate cake from scratch. I bought good wine and fresh flowers for the centerpiece. I wanted everything to be perfect for what I knew would be a difficult conversation. Saturday evening arrived gray and drizzly, matching my mood. Caleb's house was a modest 2-bedroom ranch in an older subdivision. Nothing like the lake house, but comfortable in its own way. I arrived precisely at 6, carrying bags of food and a laptop bag that contained my carefully prepared presentation. We ate dinner with stilted conversation about the weather and Dad's retirement plans. Mom complimented the pot roast. Caleb told a funny story about one of his coworkers. It was all painfully normal, the kind of family dinner I'd longed for my entire adult life. But I couldn't enjoy it, knowing what was coming. After dessert, I opened my laptop and connected it to Caleb's TV. "I want to show you something," I said, clicking to the first photo, a close-up of the wine stain on my expensive rug. The room went silent. "This is from last weekend," I continued, clicking through the images methodically. "The rug costs $1,200. The cleaning service estimates it will cost $300 to remove the stain, assuming it can be removed at all." Click. The scorch mark on the curtains. These curtains were custom made. Replacement cost is $800. Click. The scratched hardwood floor. Professional floor refinishing for this area will cost approximately $600. I continued through the entire presentation, narrating each damage with the same professional tone I used with clients. My family sat in stunned silence, watching their celebration transformed into a catalog of destruction. When I finished, I closed the laptop and looked at each of them. The total cost of repairs and cleaning is approximately $3,000. Who would like to take responsibility for this? Caleb laughed, but it sounded forced. "Come on, Margaret. You're going to bill your own family for a little wear and tear. It's not like we trashed the place." "A little wear and tear?" I kept my voice level, professional. "Caleb, this isn't your house. It's mine. I built it with my money, I maintain it with my money, and I had to find out about the party by seeing photos on social media. We're family, Mom said quietly. Families don't send each other bills. You're right, I replied. Families don't send each other bills. But families also don't throw parties and exclude family members. Families don't use each other's homes without permission. Families don't treat each other like invisible servants. Dad shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Now, Margaret, that's not fair. We don't treat you like a servant. Don't I? I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. In the past 3 years, I've given this family over $40,000. I've paid Caleb's rent, his child support, bought him a car. I've supplemented your income, paid for home repairs, covered medical bills, and not once has anyone said thank you. Not once has anyone acknowledged what I've done. The silence stretched between us, heavy with decades of unspoken resentment. I built that house thinking about family, I continued. I chose every detail hoping that someday we could be the family we were that summer at Silver Pines when I was 11. I thought if I built it, you would come. I thought if I made it beautiful enough, warm enough, perfect enough, you would want to be there with me. My voice cracked slightly, but I pressed on. Instead, you used my house to celebrate without me. You proved that I'm not necessary for your happiness. You're perfectly capable of being a family. You just don't want me to be part of it. Caleb stood up abruptly. That's not true. Margaret, you're being dramatic. Am I? I closed my laptop and stood as well. Then explain to me how you organized a party for our mother at my house without thinking to invite me. Explain how you used my key, my furniture, my space, and somehow forgot that I exist. You're always busy, Caleb's voice rose. You're always working, always stressed about money, always making everything complicated. I thought you'd be relieved not to have to deal with all the family drama. I was busy building a life, I shot back. I was busy trying to be successful enough to take care of everyone. I was busy trying to be the daughter and sister you could be proud of. But apparently, the only thing you're proud of is my checkbook. Mom was crying now, quiet tears streaming down her face. Margaret, please. We love you. We're proud of you. We don't always know how to show it. Love isn't something you show, I said, my voice growing stronger. Love is something you do. And for the past 20 years, I've been the only one in this family doing anything. I picked up my laptop bag and walked toward the door. I'm changing the locks on the lake house. From now on, if you want to use it, you'll need to ask permission in advance. You'll need to sign an agreement taking responsibility for any damage, and you'll need to pay a security deposit, just like any other rental property. Margaret, wait. Dad started to say. No, I interrupted. I'm done waiting. I'm done being the invisible family member who pays for everything and gets nothing in return. I'm done pretending that being needed is the same as being loved. I paused at the door and looked back at them. That house was my attempt to bring us together. Since that's clearly not what you want, I'm going to start treating it like what it apparently is, a business asset. I left them sitting in stunned silence and drove home through the rain, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. The next morning, I followed through on my threat. I had the locks changed and installed a new security system that required my approval for any access. I drafted a formal rental agreement that included damage deposits, cleaning fees, and strict guidelines for use. I emailed it to my parents and Caleb with a note. This is how we'll handle the lake house going forward. I hope you understand. The response was swift and brutal. Caleb posted on Facebook, "Some people have money but no heart. Family isn't supposed to be a business transaction." Disappointed. Money cannot buy family. The post was liked and shared by dozens of family members and friends. Comments poured in expressing shock and disappointment in me. Several relatives messaged me directly, asking how I could be so cold to my own family. I didn't respond to any of it. I had spent my entire adult life trying to buy love with money and kindness. And I was done. If they wanted to paint me as the villain, so be it. At least I was no longer invisible. Dad called a few days later. "Margaret, honey, you need to reconsider this. You're turning a family misunderstanding into a legal battle. This isn't who you are. Isn't it? I asked. How do you know who I am, Dad? When was the last time you asked me about my life, my work, my dreams, my fears? When was the last time you called me just to talk? Not because you needed something. He was quiet for a long moment. I don't know. That's the problem. You don't know me at all. You know the person who solves your problems and pays your bills, but you don't know me. And I'm tired of being a stranger in my own family. We love you, Margaret. We're your family. Family is supposed to be a safe place, I said. It's supposed to be where you belong, where you're wanted, where you're celebrated. I haven't felt safe or wanted or celebrated in this family for 20 years. I've felt useful, but not loved. That's not true. Dad, when was the last time you invited me to something? When was the last time you included me in a plan, asked for my opinion, or made me feel like I mattered for something other than my ability to write checks? Another long silence. I don't know, he admitted finally. I'm not trying to punish you, I said, my voice softer now. I'm trying to survive. I'm trying to figure out how to be part of this family without losing myself in the process. For 3 weeks, I heard nothing from any of them. I threw myself into work, taking on new clients and expanding my business. I spent weekends at the lake house alone, reading and painting watercolors and slowly learning to enjoy my own company. The silence was painful, but it was also revealing. I realized how much of my life had been spent waiting for their approval, their acknowledgement, their love. I had been living my life in reaction to their needs, their crises, their expectations. For the first time in decades, I was living for myself. Then Caleb texted, Margaret, Mom wants to come to the lake house this weekend. She misses it. Will you please let her come? I stared at the message for a long time before responding. She's welcome to come, but I'll be there too. If she wants to use my house, she'll have to spend time with me. Fine, he replied. But don't make it weird. Don't make it weird, as if I was the one who had made everything weird by expecting to be included in my own family. Mom arrived on Saturday morning, looking older and more fragile than I remembered. She brought a small overnight bag and a bouquet of flowers from her garden, the same yellow roses she had grown when I was a child. I missed this place, she said, looking around the living room. I missed you. We spent the day quietly. I made lunch while she sat on the porch, watching the water. We talked about her work at the library, about books she had been reading, about the neighbor's new baby. It was the kind of conversation we hadn't had in years, the kind where we actually listened to each other. I owe you an apology, she said as we were cleaning up the lunch dishes. About the party, about everything. Mom, you don't... Yes, I do. She turned to face me, her eyes bright with unshed tears. I let Caleb make decisions about you, about what you wanted, about what you needed. I should have insisted that you be there. I should have called you myself. Why didn't you? She was quiet for a long moment, drying the same plate over and over. Because I was embarrassed, she said finally. Because this house is so beautiful, and you're so successful, and I felt like I didn't deserve it. I felt like I hadn't been a good enough mother to deserve a daughter who would build something like this for me. My heart clenched. Mom, of course you deserve it. I built it because I love you, because I wanted to make you happy. I know that now, she said. But at the time, I felt like I was taking charity. Like I was a burden. And when Caleb said you were too busy, it was easier to believe that than to face the possibility that I was imposing on you. You're not a burden. Mom, you're my mother. I want to take care of you. But that's the problem, isn't it? She set down the plate and looked at me directly. You've been taking care of all of us for so long that we forgot to take care of you. We forgot that you need things too, that you need love and attention and acknowledgement. I just wanted to be included, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I just wanted to matter. You do matter, she said, pulling me into a hug. You matter so much, and I'm sorry we made you feel like you didn't. We spent the rest of the weekend talking, Really talking, for the first time in years. Mom told me about her childhood, about her dreams of being a teacher before she met Dad, about her fears and regrets. I told her about my business, about my clients, about the loneliness of being successful, but alone. "I'm proud of you," she said as she was getting ready to leave on Sunday. "Not because of the money or the house or the business. I'm proud of you because you're kind and strong, and you never gave up on us, even when we gave you every reason to." I wanted to give up, I admitted. After the party, I wanted to write all of you off and start over somewhere else. "But you didn't." "No, I didn't. I don't know why." "Because you're better than we deserve," she said simply. "And because you love us despite ourselves." After she left, I sat on the porch with a cup of coffee, watching the sunset over the lake. My phone buzzed with a text from Caleb. "Mom said you two had a good weekend. That's nice." It wasn't an apology, but it was acknowledgement. It was a start. A week later, I received a bank transfer from Caleb for $1,500, half the repair costs from the party. The memo line read, "For the house, sorry it took so long." It still wasn't an apology, but it was something. It was recognition that actions have consequences, that my time and money and effort have value. I didn't respond to the transfer immediately. I let it sit in my account for a few days, thinking about what it meant. Finally, I sent him a simple text. "Thank you. I appreciate it." His response came hours later. "The house looks good. You did a nice job with it." It was the first compliment he'd given me in years. Things didn't magically get better after that. Caleb and I still had a strained relationship, still struggled to find common ground. Dad still called mainly when he needed something, though he had started asking about my work and my life before getting to the point. But Mom and I had found something we had lost years ago, a genuine connection based on love rather than obligation. She started coming to the lake house once a month, sometimes bringing Dad, sometimes coming alone. We would cook together, work in the garden, take walks around the lake. She would tell me stories about her childhood, and I would show her my latest design projects. We were rebuilding our relationship from the ground up, learning to be mother and daughter rather than benefactor and recipient. One evening, as we were sitting on the porch watching the sunset, she said, "You know, I think this house is even more beautiful than that cabin we rented when you were little." "Really?" "Really. That cabin was beautiful because we were happy there. But this house is beautiful because you built it with love. You built it hoping we would come, hoping we would be happy here together. That kind of love doesn't just disappear when people disappoint you." "Sometimes I think it should," I said. "Sometimes I think it would be easier to just walk away." "Maybe," she agreed. "But then you wouldn't be you. And I would miss the daughter who builds beautiful houses and makes perfect pot roast and never gives up on people, even when they don't deserve it." I looked at her, this woman who had raised me, who had failed me, who was trying to make amends. "I don't want to go back to the way things were," I said. "I don't want to be the family ATM anymore." "I don't want that either," she said. "I want to be your mother, not your dependent. I want to give you things instead of always taking them." "What do you want to give me?" She smiled. "Time, attention, stories, love that doesn't come with a price tag." "I'd like that." "Good, because I have a lot of stories to tell you, and I've been saving them up for too long." As I write this, sitting in the house I built with hope and love and desperate longing, I can say that things are different now. Not perfect, but different. My family hasn't magically transformed into the close-knit unit I always dreamed of, but we're learning to be honest with each other, to acknowledge our flaws and failures, to try to do better. Caleb still struggles with money and responsibility, but he hasn't asked me for a loan in 6 months. When he does need help, he asks directly instead of going through Mom and Dad, and he's been slowly paying back the money he owes me. He's also started asking about my business, offering to help with marketing and social media, skills he's surprisingly good at. Dad has been the slowest to change, but even he has started calling just to check in, to ask about my week, to share stories about his retirement activities. He's not effusive with emotions, but he's trying, and I can see the effort it takes. Mom and I have become genuinely close for the first time since I was a child. She's helped me understand that some of my childhood perceptions were colored by my own insecurities, that their love was always there, even when it wasn't expressed in ways I could recognize. She's also helped me see that my success intimidated them, made them feel like they had nothing to offer me in return. The lake house has become what I always hoped it would be, a place where my family gathers, where we make new memories, where we try to heal old wounds. It's not the fairy tale reunion I once imagined, but it's real. And it's ours. I keep one chair at the dining table empty now, not for someone who forgot to invite me, but for the possibility of growth, of change, of new family members who might join us someday. It's a reminder that families aren't static things, that they can evolve and improve and surprise you. The house still bears a few scars from that party, a barely visible water stain on the hardwood floor, a curtain that's slightly shorter than its mate. But I've decided to keep them as reminders. Not of the hurt, but of the healing. Not of the exclusion, but of the inclusion that followed. They forgot my name on the guest list once, but this time, I'm writing the invitations myself. And I'm not leaving anyone out, not even the parts of myself I thought weren't worth including. This is my house, this is my family, and I am here, present and accounted for, ready to build something better on the foundation of what we've learned. The girl who caught fireflies in mason jars 30 years ago is still here, still hoping, still believing that the best family moments are yet to come. And for the first time in decades, I think she might be right.